park in Coney Island is an amusement park located in Brooklyn, New York. I was able to go in mid-July, and I really did enjoy it. Now, this park has 7 roller coasters. I was able to ride 6 of them, other than the Minnie Mouse. They do have a pretty solid collection for a boardwalk, and it is a little pricey, but the 6 credits I would say were worth it. So today I'm going to rank all 6 roller coasters, well, 6 of the 7 roller coasters at Luna Park. Now, coming in 6th place is their kiddie coaster, known as Circus Coaster. I would say this is a solid kiddie coaster. It's not too bad. Now, when I rode this, I was feeling pretty nauseous. I hadn't eaten anything all day, so maybe that made the ride experience less enjoyable. But, I mean, it is a kiddie coaster. There's not much to expect from this thing. It is a little janky, but I would say that it is pretty good to get young enthusiasts into roller coasters. Those airtime hills towards the end, which you just saw there, gave a lot more airtime than expected, especially coming from a Zamperla kiddie coaster. But again, it's really not much to ride home about. It is a Zamperla kiddie coaster, and again, there's not much to ride home about. That's why it's coming in at number 6. Now, coming in at number 5 is the Zamperla Spinning Wild Mouse, known as the Tickler. Weird name aside, this thing is just okay. Well, I know it's one of the more unique ones since it does start spinning at the top and not that middle section like it usually does on most of these. I guess it does make it a little bit more unique, but man, this thing is really rough. But there's not much to talk about here. It is a wild mouse. The 2 hills at the end are pretty unexpected. But overall, there's just not much to talk about here. And by the way, who the hell decided to name this thing the Tickler? Like, I know it has to do with, like, Henry Houdini and stuff, but, like, dude, who named this? A middle-aged pervert? But that's why it's coming in at number 5. Number 5, the Tickler. Now, coming in at number 4 is the Zamperla Volare, known as Soaring Eagle. Now, I was bracing for a terrible and rough ride, since rides like Time Warp at Canada's Wonderland are known for being terribly rough. I did hear that this didn't have the head cage that they usually have. So this was a lot more enjoyable than I was expecting. Does that mean this ride is great? Not at all. Well, the first half is pretty smooth, I would say, and the inversions are fun. The second half is just terrible. Oh my goodness. It kind of just meanders around through a few rough transitions, trying to find its way to the brake run. But overall, a lot more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be, and I came off this ride in one piece, so I would say that's a win-win. Now, coming in 3rd place is the Zamperla Moto coaster, known as Steeplechase, which is a launch coaster. I really did enjoy this thing. This had a lot more enjoyment. I was able to get 3 rides all in the back row, and this thing really whips around its course a lot more than I expected. The launch was a lot more powerful than I thought. Now, I've heard some people complain about this thing being rough or destroying their back or something like that, but, I found it glossy smooth. I mean, while it's whipping through, it really is smoother than probably any coaster at the park. In my opinion, the only glaring issue is this thing is ugly. Oh my goodness. It's just a white mess of track. It looks like something I built in Planet Coaster and forgot the theme. But other than that, this thing is very enjoyable, and I really enjoyed it, especially since it was my first coaster that I had ridden in over a year. Now, it pains me to do this, but coming in at number 2 is the Coney Island Cyclone. Now, I only got one ride, and it was in the rain, so I was being pelted with what felt like bullets for the whole ride. Now, as of right now, this is one of my favorite roller coasters I've ridden to this day. It is so smooth. I couldn't believe it. Maybe I just didn't notice it because, I was being shot with rain the whole time, but it's so enjoyable. It feels like I'm riding a part of history, I mean, it's a literal national landmark. Now, I've heard some people complain about the restraints, and I don't really know how could you. It gives you so much airtime room. I know they're super weird and all, but, they're still fine. But my favorite part about this ride is just how incredibly long it is. There's so much prime ride time on this thing, and it's just so enjoyable. Now, I don't know if they did any retracking on this thing, but I've heard some people complain about its roughness, and as you can see in the POV here, there's a lot of shaky spots, but I did not feel one shaky part on this ride. But I think due to the fact that I only got one ride and it was in the rain, unfortunately, one of my favorite roller coasters I've been on comes in only at number 2. And the one that you've all been waiting for, coming in at number 1, is Thunderbolt. Zamperla Thunderbolt. Well, yeah, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. I was able to ride this thing not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but alright, just skip to it, 9 times. This thing was practically a walk-on every time, and I had an hour left, so I just marathoned it. Now, I'm going to try and keep it short since I do really want to write a full review on this, but I'm just going to say it right now. This ride does not deserve all the hate it gets. I hear a lot of people complaining about how rough it is, or just how boring the layout is, but I found the layout that pack a nice punch. The inversions are fun. It wasn't very rough until the last little airtime hill, maybe even the corkscrew. But those 2 airtime hills before the corkscrew come out of nowhere. But the inversions are pretty unique and pretty fun, to be honest. Now, there is one glaring issue with this roller coaster, and that's the restraints. Holy shit, these things are massive. In my opinion, they come close to Skyrush restraints as the worst restraints, as it's just a big, bulky lap bar. And to add salt to the wound, they decided to put little tiny shoulder straps on it, which kind of take away from a little bit of the airtime. But overall, one of my favorite coasters, and one that was very enjoyable. I mean, obviously enjoyable enough to ride it 9 times in a row. I really hope you guys enjoyed me ranking the Luna Park roller coasters. I would recommend this park to all enthusiasts, as it also has some pretty good flat rides that I enjoyed. I really hope to get back here to re-ride the Cyclone, Thunderbolt, and maybe head to Dino's Wonder Wheel, which is a landlocked park inside, Luna Park. This is my first video, so if you would like to follow and like, you're not obviously required to, or would like to comment your thoughts and maybe critique this video or my ranking, go ahead and do whatever you want to do. But thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed.